Welcome back to Dinar Shift. If you are currently in possession of Vietnamese dong, I urge you to pause and give me your full attention. We are at one of those critical time-sensitive junctures where being informed could have a direct impact on your financial holdings. Across various sources, reports are circulating regarding a strictly limited 3-day acceptance window. During this brief period, it is said that both older series and newer series VND banknotes will be accepted together by authorized institutions. This is the core of the matter, but its implications run much deeper. In the following discussion, I will guide you through a comprehensive breakdown of what this development potentially means for the everyday holder, the collector, the overseas resident, and anyone who has stored older notes away for safekeeping. Stay with me as we delve into the necessary steps you might consider, the documentation likely required, common pitfalls to steer clear of, scenarios that could unfold if the window is missed, and crucial advice on navigating the misinformation that often accompanies significant monetary events. My aim is to provide clarity and practicality, stripping away any sensationalism or fear and leaving you with clear, actionable information you can use immediately. I recommend having a notepad handy as we proceed. If you are viewing this after the fact, I encourage you to pause and carefully note the guidelines we will cover. The element of time is of genuine importance here, so let us explore the details in a calm and methodical manner. To begin, we must first deconstruct the fundamental claim to understand its origin and why it is generating significant attention. The central message making the rounds is that for a span of only 72 hours, relevant authorities will accept older series Vietnamese dong alongside the currently circulating newer series. This means holders, in theory, would not need to distinguish between the two series during that narrow time frame. While this sounds straightforward on the surface, the practical consequences are substantial. A considerable number of individuals retain older banknotes in their homes, sometimes for extended periods, and these notes can become difficult to spend or exchange under standard operating procedures. If these reports are accurate, this window presents a unified opportunity for everyone to deposit, exchange, or otherwise formalize their holdings within a single, condensed period. This is precisely why holders who may have been indifferent about their older notes are now feeling a sense of urgency. The establishment of a firm deadline often signals a shift in routine acceptance policies once the deadline passes. It is beneficial to examine the rationale behind why monetary authorities might institute such short-term intake programs. There are several operational reasons for this approach. A concentrated 3-day period allows central banks and their commercial partners to consolidate staffing resources, verification procedures, and anti-fraud measures into a predictable block of time. This is often more administratively efficient than managing a prolonged, gradual phase out that could stretch for months without a clear end point. Specialized equipment and personnel can be allocated with greater focus. Furthermore, a short, well-publicized window helps authorities control public messaging and mitigate the confusion that can arise from a drawn-out, ambiguous transition process. From a monetary control perspective, it enables a swift accounting of the volume of older notes returning to the system, updating financial records promptly and supporting overall transparency. This can also help prevent parallel or unofficial markets from exploiting lengthy gray periods where the status of old currency is uncertain. Naturally, there are trade-offs to this method. Short windows inevitably create a sense of urgency, which can lead to crowding, long queues, and potential stress for participants. However, they are frequently employed because they can yield faster, more auditable results for the governing institutions. Understanding this underlying logic can help you prepare both mentally and logistically. Approaching this as a structured event where organization is your greatest asset is the most prudent course of action. With that context, let's move into the practical realm and discuss what immediate steps you should take if you possess any VND notes, regardless of their series. Your first action should be to physically gather all the Vietnamese dong banknotes in your possession. Find a clean, lit space and sort them carefully by denomination. As you handle them, perform a basic visual check to ensure they are not severely damaged. Notes that are extremely torn, heavily soiled, or otherwise compromised may fall under separate rules for acceptance, so it's important to identify them early. Your second step is to create a simple inventory. Jot down the denominations you have, an approximate count for each, and a rough total value. This written list will prove invaluable when you reach an exchange counter, as it speeds up the teller's processing and minimizes errors in counting. Third, and crucially, prepare your identification documents. Determine what form of ID your local bank requires for currency transactions. This is typically a national ID card, passport, or local citizen identification. For holders residing outside Vietnam, an additional layer of research is needed to see if overseas branches or partner banks are participating in this domestic initiative. Finally, think strategically about timing. Resist the temptation to wait until the final hours of the window. Queues and processing times often swell dramatically as the deadline approaches, and last-minute technical or procedural issues can arise. Acting early within the window provides a buffer to resolve any unexpected problems and alleviates the pressure of a down-to-the-wire rush. Now, let's set expectations for what you might encounter when you visit a bank or authorized exchange point during such an intensive intake period. First, anticipate lines and a higher than usual volume of customers. Financial institutions will likely establish dedicated counters or separate queue lines specifically for the exchange operations to avoid disrupting their regular banking services. When you finally reach the counter, standard procedure will involve staff checking your identification, verifying the authenticity of your note, soften both visually and with detection equipment, and recording the transaction. You may be asked to sign an acknowledgement form, and the bank should provide you with a receipt detailing the serial numbers accepted or the total value processed. Be aware that verification for older series notes might be more meticulous, as tellers will be vigilant for counterfeits or notes degraded beyond acceptable limits. Patience and cooperation are essential. Presenting your notes organized in neat bundles sorted by denomination can significantly expedite the process. If you believe you possess notes that are rare or have collectible value, it is wise to mention this upfront, as they may be handled by a different department or under different guidelines. For individuals holding Vietnamese dong outside the country's borders, the situation requires extra diligence. Not every foreign bank or currency exchange office will have the capacity or authorization to participate in a domestic Vietnamese intake window. Policies vary widely regarding whether international branches of Vietnamese banks or their foreign partners can process older series notes for non-resident customers. If you are abroad, your first point of contact should be banks that specialize in international remittance or the overseas branches of major Vietnamese financial institutions to inquire about their participation. Some holders may find they need to send notes back to Vietnam for processing, which introduces complex logistical and security considerations. Using insured courier services through BANG, authorized channels, is far safer than sending currency through regular postal mail, which is strongly discouraged. Additionally, be mindful of potential fees and applicable exchange rates. International processing might incur handling charges or use exchange rates less favorable than those within Vietnam. Factoring these costs into your decision-making process is important. For expatriates or overseas holders with substantial holdings, contacting the financial services desk of a Vietnamese embassy or consulate for official guidance before moving any currency is a recommended precautionary step. We must also address the realistic possibility of limits and restrictions even during a blanket acceptance announcement. Some programs impose per-person transaction limits, require additional documentation, or trigger enhanced scrutiny for very large sums. Even if the general announcement states all notes accepted, operational rules at the branch level may still enforce caps or require supplementary proof of origin for high-value exchanges, often to comply with anti-money laundering regulations and tax reporting requirements. This means if you are planning to exchange a particularly large amount, you should be prepared to provide a credible explanation for the origin of the funds and possibly supporting documentation. For the average holder with smaller amounts, the process is typically straightforward. If you are uncertain, a proactive phone call to your bank ahead of your visit to clarify limits and required paperwork is a wise investment of time. Never assume there are no limits. Another common concern revolves around damaged, torn, or heavily worn banknotes. Many people worry that notes in poor condition will be refused. In most official intake scenarios, central banks provide specific guidelines to commercial banks for handling such notes. Often, a note is acceptable if a certain percentage of it remains intact, or if the serial numbers are fully visible. Severely damaged notes might be referred to a specialized department for assessment. If you have damaged notes, do not attempt to repair them with tape or glue yourself. Present them in their current state and allow the bank staff to make the determination. Keep in mind that counterfeit detection is typically heightened during mass intake windows, so authenticity checks will be thorough. If a note is rejected due to its condition or suspected inauthenticity, request a formal explanation and a receipt documenting the bank's decision for your records. Looking beyond individual convenience, there are broader implications when authorities accept old and new notes together. This action signals an intent to ensure continuity and inclusivity for all currency holders, preventing sudden obsolescence and drawing cash holdings back into the formal banking system. This process helps reduce the size of informal cash pools that operate outside regulatory oversight, which in turn strengthens the accuracy of monetary data and policy decisions. For the everyday citizen, it reaffirms the legitimacy and spendable value of their cash. For governments and financial institutions, it provides a cleaner accounting ledger and helps mitigate the risk of counterfeit notes remaining in circulation. Psychologically, systematic and well-communicated handling of old currency promotes public confidence in the monetary system, reducing the likelihood of panic or a rush toward unregulated alternatives. A critical question on everyone's mind is, what happens after the 3-day window concludes? Typically, once a short, concentrated intake period closes, standard currency regulations resume. This usually means that only the current legal tender series continues to be universally accepted for daily transactions and routine banking operations. Older series notes may transition into a more formal and often more cumbersome redemption process that could involve additional paperwork, potential fees, or the need for special appointments. While some jurisdictions allow for a lengthy redemption period at the central bank after the public window closes, the procedures are invariably more complex. The key takeaway is this: do not count on a simple walk-in exchange option being available with the same ease after the official window closes. If your goal is a straightforward, guaranteed acceptance, acting within the announced timeframe is paramount. Let's now walk through a clear set of do's and don'ts to keep you safe and efficient during this process. Do organize your notes and bring proper identification. Do arrive early and allot extra time for potential waiting. Do follow all instructions given by bank staff and ensure you receive and securely keep a receipt for every transaction. Do verify on the spot that the details on the receipt match your own inventory. Don't rely on third-party intermediaries who offer to expedite your exchange for an upfront fee, as these are frequently scams. Don't post detailed photographs of your banknotes' serial numbers on public forums or share them with unverified services. Don't assume there are no fees. Always ask about any potential charges before finalizing the transaction. Finally, don't spread unverified claims about dates or rules on social media without first confirming the information through an official bank or central bank channel. Misinformation during a short window can cause real disruption and harm. It is also necessary to address the common scams and false information that proliferate around currency events. There are several prevalent schemes to be wary of. First, counterfeit official communications. Scammers create documents or online posts that mimic bank notices, containing false deadlines or instructions. Always verify information directly through official banking websites or verified hotlines. Second, advance fee or courier scams. Individuals may offer to reserve your place in line or transport your notes for a fee, only to disappear with your money. Never pay an upfront fee to a private individual to handle your currency exchange. Third, bogus collectors or buyers. Opportunists may approach holders, offering to purchase old notes at above face value, claiming they are rare. While some offers may be legitimate, many are attempts to acquire notes through deception. Exercise extreme skepticism and prioritize using official banking channels. When in doubt, seek written guidance from official sources. For numismatists and collectors, this intake window presents unique considerations. If you hold notes you believe have collectible value, Their market worth to other collectors could be significantly higher than their face value. Be very cautious before depositing such notes at a bank, as once they are surrendered as legal tender, any numismatic premium is lost. If you suspect your notes have collector value, it is advisable to seek an appraisal from a reputable numismatic expert or society before making a decision. Some banks, when accepting notes, will treat them solely at face value regardless of their collectability. A specialist can help you determine whether to retain them as collectibles or convert them through the official window. If you discover potentially rare variants, photograph them clearly and obtain an independent valuation. Delving deeper into paperwork, it is wise to be overprepared. Bring your primary government-issued photo ID and any secondary identification your bank might request, such as a residency permit or proof of address. Some banks may require you to update a signature card for large transactions or when dealing with dormant accounts. If you are acting on behalf of another person, you will likely need a notarized letter of authorization. Businesses or merchants with large volumes of VND should bring business registration documents and authorization letters for company signatories. Always ask the counter staff which forms they are completing and request a copy for your records. If possible, have them stamp your copy with the branch's official stamp and a timestamp. This creates a clear paper trail should any discrepancies arise later. Developing a timing strategy for the 3-day window can significantly improve your experience. Do not assume customer traffic will be evenly distributed. The first day often sees a surge from highly motivated individuals and those closely monitoring news. The final day typically attracts procrastinators and those who only just learned of the deadline. To potentially avoid the largest crowds, consider aiming for the middle of the first full day or the early morning of the second day, when banks have refined their process but the final day rush has not yet begun. If your schedule is constrained, investigate whether your bank allows for a trusted, documented representative to act on your behalf, and understand their specific proxy policies in advance. For those concerned about exchange values and potential offers from unofficial buyers, the safest path is unwavering. Avoid the temptation to sell notes to private buyers at informal rates, even if they offer a small premium. Short windows can create arbitrage opportunities for unscrupulous actors who may take advantage of holders' uncertainty. The most secure method to preserve the full face value of your holdings is to utilize the authorized banking channels, obtain official receipts, and accept the bank's exchange terms. If you must engage with a private buyer, insist on meeting in a secure public location and on obtaining a fully documented receipt, but recognize that legal protections are vastly diminished outside formal financial systems. It is also prudent to consider how to handle potential problems calmly. If a bank branch rejects some of your notes due to condition or authenticity concerns, politely request a written explanation specifying which notes were rejected and the reason. This documentation allows you to seek a second opinion at another branch or escalate the matter to the bank's regional office. In the rare event of a miscount or processing error, immediately request a supervisor. Present your personal inventory and any receipts, and ask for a formal incident report. Maintaining copies of all your documents and creating a clear paper trail of your actions is your best defense. Should you encounter aggressive touts or unofficial intermediaries near bank premises, simply move away and consider informing bank security personnel. Some holders with very small amounts may wonder if the effort is justified. Even for minor sums, participating can be important. It ensures the continued legitimacy of every unit of currency you hold and keeps your personal finances orderly. For small notes used infrequently, a quick visit during the window can prevent future difficulties when you try to use them. Families might consider consolidating all household VND notes and sending one representative to handle the exchange in a single trip, minimizing time and inconvenience. For business owners and merchants who handle cash daily, this window is an opportune moment to reconcile cash registers and deposit any older series notes from their floats. Businesses should coordinate with their bank relationship managers to schedule appointments for large volumes. Maintaining meticulous records of these deposits, supported by stamped bank receipts, is crucial for accounting and audit purposes. Expats and long-term travelers with VND stored away should view this as a chance to organize their finances. If you plan to return to Vietnam soon, conducting the exchange in person is the simplest method. If travel is not feasible, Immediately contact your bank or a trusted local contact to inquire about authorized proxy arrangements, or if the bank supports a secure, insured mail-in process specifically for currency redemption. Never mail cash through uninsured, standard postal services. Utilize only methods explicitly recommended and supported by the financial institutions involved. On a community level, during these short windows, verified information sharing among trusted networks can be helpful, such as updates on which branches have shorter lines or changed hours. However, always double-check such information against official sources. Assisting elderly relatives or neighbors by helping them organize their notes and documents beforehand is a valuable way to support your community during a potentially stressful time. As we draw this detailed breakdown to a close, let's consolidate the key actionable steps into a final checklist. First, gather and sort all your VND notes by denomination. Second, prepare your required identification and any supporting documents. Third, create a simple written inventory of what you have. Fourth, plan to arrive early during the window or schedule an appointment if possible. Fifth, avoid any third-party intermediaries offering exchange services. Sixth, upon completion, obtain a stamped receipt and verify the details before leaving the counter. Seventh, if any issues arise, follow up immediately and secure written explanations. These steps are designed to reduce stress, accelerate processing, and protect your interests throughout the procedure. In calm conclusion, this reported 3-day acceptance window represents a concentrated, short-term opportunity to have both older and newer series Vietnamese dong notes recognized together through official channels. Your foremost priorities should be thorough preparation, having proper identification, exercising patience during the process, and maintaining a healthy skepticism toward any unofficial offers or information. Once you have completed your exchange or deposit, store all receipts securely, update your personal financial records, and verify the transaction in your account statements. If you find yourself unable to act within the specified window, proactively contact your bank to understand the post-window procedures and keep a documented record of all your attempts to follow official protocols. The ultimate goal is to preserve the value and formal legitimacy of your holdings with the minimum amount of stress and risk possible. Thank you for dedicating your time to this comprehensive overview. If you found this information practical, we welcome you to subscribe for further straightforward updates. We encourage you to pose any remaining questions, and we will continue to monitor official channels for any new announcements or clarifications. Stay organized, stay informed, and take prudent action if you hold Vietnamese dong. We look forward to continuing this conversation with you.